Hello. Welcome to Women's Health, Therapeutics, and Management Across the Lifespan, Family Nurse Practitioner. My name's April Demito, and I'm going to be your instructor for the next 12 weeks. I thought that it may help to go over some pieces of the syllabus to clarify some expectations and perhaps make the introduction to this class a little easier. As we move along, you can see there is a listing of textbooks. So you know, for testing purposes, the exams use the Women's Gynecologic Health book for test questions. So that's the book you need to focus on for testing questions. The other book, Diagnosis and Treatment, it's a great book when you're looking up different OB-GYN procedures and diagnostics and treatments, but for testing purposes we aren't going to be using that one. And this lists some clinical guidelines that you'll find really helpful in practice. I utilize these all the time. Now I do family practice, but these sites are also helpful in family practice because you see everything. Also utilize the CDC, and I really like the American Society of Family Practice Physicians website. Very good resources. Clinical practice guidelines are the standards of care, so you need to be delivering your care in accordance with clinical practice guidelines. Failure to do so puts you at risk. You're not following the standards, and it also puts you at risk for lawsuits down the road. These special requirements just talk about computers and what type of computer works best when you're doing an online course. The way the course is written up is it's a 12-week course. It is part didactic and theory and part clinical practicum. So you have 180 hours of OB-GYN clinical that needs to be completed by the end of this course. You should have 1 to 6 faculty clinical working with you, managing that piece, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call on that one. Assignments, attendance and participation. I expect you to follow the guidelines according to the MSN handbook. So postings need to be presented on the day that they're due. Your responses need to be presented on the day that they're due. We're all adults and adult learners for advanced degrees, so I expect those things to be considered. Of course, if something happens, there's a severe illness in the family, a tragedy, something, just give me a call or a text. Let me know and we'll make other arrangements. But if you don't turn something in without having discussed it with me on that due date, you will get a 0 for that. Participation requirements. This is an online class, and in order to comply with the requirements of that online class, you need to be involved in discussion postings. And with the discussion postings, every week you'll see that there's a different requirement. Now, each discussion post has a different amount of points that you'll see attached to them, and they're all different. They ask different questions. So in order to get the full points, you have to have, number 1, you have to complete the requirements of the discussion post. So any of the questions, you need to complete those cited with references. Then you need to respond to someone else's postings. So someone else's postings that you're looking at, you need to make an educated response to or comment. It's not good enough to just write good post. You have to have that substantiated in what you're documenting or what you're stating. And then you have to have a third post. That third post is a response to someone who has commented on your initial post. Now, once in a while, especially with such a small group, you may look and you say, oh my gosh, only one person responded to my post, so I only have 2 now. You need to have 3. So then it would be okay for you to respond to 2 of your peers' postings so that you can get those 3 required postings done. And I have put together a calendar, a course calendar, that actually lists out when things are due, when they need to be posted. If something is due to be posted that day, I expect it to be posted by 11:59 that night. I don't care if it's done at 10, because quite honestly, after 10 o'clock, I'm probably not going to look at it. I go to bed pretty early, unless I need to stay up for some reason. So as long as I see that it's been posted before 11:59, the day that it's due, I'm okay with that. Now, I expect your posts, as I said earlier, to be substantive. They need to engage in reflection and incorporate relevant personal applications. So, ask questions, and if a question has been asked of you, it is a requirement to answer that question. Academic integrity, I take this one very seriously, only because all of the years that I've been teaching, I have found students that plagiarized their papers, used other people's work, and it's very unfortunate. But in society today, we have such access to information on the internet, it's really easy to do. So during this course, you have 3 papers that are due. Those papers are required to be submitted to Turnitin. If you don't submit it through Turnitin, I will submit it through Turnitin to look at it. I had a student once that didn't submit it through Turnitin. I did, and it came back 57% plagiarized. Okay, so what does that mean? I looked through the paper, and all of everything in there was cited appropriately. So it really wasn't plagiarized. However, more than half of the paper was made up of quotations and citations from other resources, and she didn't come up with it herself. So that is not going to go well for you as far as your grades are concerned. Now, this is in the syllabus. I didn't put this together. I find it a little awkward. That's one of the reasons that I came up with the course calendar. But this may work for you. Everybody's different. The one thing that I do like about it is the links. I advise everyone to keep your laptop or your iPad or Kindle or whatever product you use. If you can carry it with you, even your phone. I utilize my phone a lot. And when you have the opportunity, go into these links that are here. Not having the ability to be in a face-to-face classroom, utilizing these links and YouTube videos, you're going to find them so valuable. And all of these links on here are definitely worthwhile. So some of them you may not want to go over in depth, but other ones you may actually want to spend some time on. If you're uncomfortable doing pelvic exams or looking for those cervixes or doing swabs or measuring fundal heights, great resources. So please do look at this. And there is one section for each week of class. Now, this is what the class is totally comprised of. You have the 3 papers, and each paper carries a different weight. So week 1, that paper's worth a lot of points. It's worth 50 points. Make sure that you are following APA format. I've graded a lot of papers in my career as a professor, and I've had a lot of my own papers critiqued. I have found that many people that have taken classes here struggle with APA format. If you have any questions whatsoever, you need to submit that paper and have it reviewed from the tutoring center or the writing center. I sent everyone a copy of the Purdue OWL link for APA format. Standard APA papers all have a title page. They have running heads. There's an abstract. The main body of the paper begins on page 3 with a title, and then you have headings. The headings are comprised of the rubrics of the paper, and in each heading you need to use those paragraphs that follow to fully go over the topic that is required in the rubric. That's how you get your points. Then you have your resources in the back. Now, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me by text or send me an email. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. But grammar, another thing. If you have problems with grammar, have someone proofread your paper. I can't tell you how many people I get papers from that are not written in a scholarly manner. These are graduate level papers, not high school essays. I have gotten what I would, if I were grading a senior in high school's paper or even a freshman in college English paper, they'd be good. These are not essays. These are research papers and need to be written in that manner. Group case study discussions, we spoke to that. Make sure that you complete them fully. Make sure that you have 3 postings every week. Losing a few points by not having those requirements done can make the difference between you getting an A and a B. Case study reflection papers and SOAP notes. You are going to be required starting at week 2 to write a SOAP note. Now, I just found a really great resource because, again, I'm finding that students are struggling with SOAP notes. SOAP notes, it's important to know how to write a SOAP note because when you're done with college or your FNP program and you're out practicing on your own, if you are not documenting appropriately, insurance companies are not going to pay you for the work that you've done. There are certain components to documentation that need to be in there, and those components are listed in a SOAP note. Failure to do so in the real world, you're not going to get reimbursed or not get reimbursed to the point that you should. With SOAP notes, I also expect that you will have 3 to 5 differential diagnoses. You may have that diagnosis, you know what it is, but I also want you to come up with 3 to 5 of what it could be. Medicine is not so much a science in reality as it is an art. You have to have the skills to know what you think it is or what it could be. You know, you have all of the clues, and you take all those clues and piece them together like an elaborate CSI investigation. And you take all of those clues and you come up with what you think is the best answer. But that isn't always the case, especially when you're dealing with body rashes and things like that. And then also, the diagnoses that you choose, you also need to list the ICD-10 codes attached to them. We have 2 exams, a midterm and a final. I have put together a midterm study guide, but to tell you the truth, I want to make some changes to it. I want to improve it a little bit. I am going to put together study sessions for you, and they will be, as this is, recorded PowerPoint presentations. I have in the past done online sessions with AnyMeeting, but I realize that everyone may not be able to attend in online specific classes. So those midterms, again, you need to read. When I tell you to go over chapters, that means go over chapters and go over them well. If you need to outline chapters or take notes on those chapters, that's how you'll do well on the exams. And here are some links and listings on basic APA guidelines. And then let's look at the syllabus. Week 1. Now the syllabus is listed out in weeks. So week 1 it tells you what needs to be done. Week 2, 3, and all the way through 12. So you can see that it tells you that what you should be reading and studying, what the individual requirement is. So in week 1, by day 3, you need to have your introduction post done. And then you need to have your women's health status paper submitted by the date that's listed on the course calendar that I sent out to you. Now, I've told everyone in this particular section that if you want me to review your paper before you turn it in, you'll get a one-shot deal. And I can only do this because, number one, this is a very small class, and number two, I understand that this class has had some difficulty, and I think you deserve a little bit of a break, so I will look at your paper. I'm not going to correct it for you, but I will give you some tips as to what I think you need to improve and things that you could do to make it better. Week 2 follows the same sort of format, and it goes on week by week. Now, I've had some students say, well, you mean we have to answer all of these questions under this case study discussion? Yes, you do. And it says in learning teams of 3 to 4 students. So what that would mean, in a team of 3 to 4 students, you may, break up the questions. We have 4 students in this class. So I am going to expect you to answer all of these questions. You don't have to go in depth, but I want you to touch base on each one of these questions. I think it's important. I think it's an excellent learning exercise, and you're going to gain something from it. I'm not a person that makes assignments just for you to do busy work. I have no patience for busy work. I only am asking that you do that because I think that you'll really learn from it. And then again, down here you've got a SOAP note, and you should all be familiar with Typhon. I used it at another college that I taught clinicals at. I don't access it. I look at your SOAP note through Joule. And I will tell you that every discussion posting, every SOAP note, you will get feedback from. I read every one of them. I read them completely, and because I think that you deserve that, that's part of my job, and I work to ensure that you're getting the feedback that you need so that you can be successful in the long run. And week 4, same sort of thing. I'm not going to go through every week. Midterm week, that's all you're going to do is focus on midterm. Same thing with the final. And when the papers are due, you're going to focus on those papers also. This is another, this one breaks your paper up into 3 pieces. So the first one is the overall women's health within your state. So follow the components of that paper. And then contributing factors, you're going to take that, choose one health state, one health issue in the state of Illinois, and I want you to focus on that. In-depth discussion. And then the third part is going to in-depth discussion or proposal for the development or change in a policy of the state that would strengthen and provide better health care to women. And again, this class is relatively new. This is only the second group that is going through this class, so there's learning curve as far as the development of these papers. So if you need any help, just reach out and I'll do what I can to help you. A rubric on the SOAP note.